appreciate your attention. My name is Grant Ferkaluk. I'm the Department Chair for Guidance Services. I coach our girls and boys swim teams. Presenting today with Mr. Kylie, our BIC Supervisor, girls basketball coach. I want to take an opportunity to be able to just share information with you guys, okay? We are very clear that the current trend in vaping and e-cigs is a popular one, okay? Our goal here is not to stand here and say, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, okay? Our goal here is to educate you, give you some information that perhaps you didn't know, maybe challenge you to think about choosing to vape in a different way, okay? Thinking about what some of the harmful risks are and what maybe you could change in your mindset about it, okay? Again, our purpose is only to educate you. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of myths. We'll try to dispel some of those. We're going to go through some of the different chemical makeups in the vapes. We're going to go through some of the harmful medical risks. We're also going to go through what the consequences are. Okay, we'll talk about what can happen here at school. Talk about what kind of trouble you can get in as far as code of conduct. Okay, we'll go through some of those things. It's obvious that the school is taking a very strong stance on the importance of getting this information to you. We've presented to the freshmen. We've offered a night to parents. Would have liked to have seen significantly more parents here because I think many of you have your parents hoodwinked. Okay? We've presented to the staff. Information we received back from the staff was staggering as to how much they didn't know. Okay? We're going to continue to present to the feeder schools because we know that it's an issue even at younger ages than high school. Okay, so it's very important to us that we're sharing this information. I would ask that you put your Chromebooks and phones away for the next half hour. Give us this time to just be able to present our information without distraction. So if you put those things down underneath your chairs, we would appreciate it. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kelly. He's going to kick it off with some of the information, and then I'll finish this up.
All right. So, just like you guys are itching to be done with the day, you know, we are too. Like Mr. Ferkaluk said, we've done this 7 times. This will be number 7. Our goal here is to get the information to you and be done, and you guys have plenty of time to spend the last 10, 15 minutes of the day socializing, all right? So, you stay attentive, we can get through it quicker. As Mr. Ferkaluk said, I'm Mr. Kelly, I'm the BIC Supervisor. And in my role in the BIC room, administration asked me last year, they said, you know, we see a rise in students using vapes. Can you please come up with an assignment for them to do while they're in BIC to help them learn about the potential risks and hazards and consequences to their choices of using vapes? When I did that, when I had to create that assignment, I had to do the research and learn about it myself. Because up until that point, up until last year, not being someone that does that and only seeing people do it and witnessing it and hearing people talk about it, I bought into those myths that it was, you know, just vapor coming out of it, just harmless water vapor. I didn't apply my common sense to it either to figure it out. So when I did the research and I applied my common sense, it said to me, it can't just be harmless water vapor coming out of it. If it has a flavor or it has a taste to it, it has to have a chemical in there, right? Because water is tasteless, except for all those of us who have drinking the water at Central. We know sometimes water does have a taste to it, right? But that means there's something in it. That means there's something in it, right? To give it a flavor, to give it a taste, they have to put something into it. Now here's the thing. The Federal Drug Administration, the FDA, the government agency whose responsibility is to make sure that the food we consume, the prescription drugs that we take are safe for us, that food labels are accurate, that what it says is in the food is what is in the food. But they don't have any authority over the electronic cigarette industry as of right now. And even if they did, and if they made the labels have to reflect what is in there, that doesn't reflect the whole truth. Because for those of you that have already taken chemistry class, you've learned that when you heat up an element, when you heat up a substance, when you heat up a chemical, it changes it. So when the label says it has certain products that are safe for you to have, that's not telling you the whole truth. Because when you heat it up, when it becomes vapor, it changes. And some of the chemicals and metals that they're finding in the output of the vape are things that you probably don't want in your body. One of them being formaldehyde. If you've ever been in science class and dissected something, or walked past the science hallway and smelled that smell when they're dissecting something, that is formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is used to keep tissue from decomposing, from rotting. It's not something that's supposed to be in your lungs and in your bloodstream. So some of these vapes, when you heat it up, you're inhaling formaldehyde. You're also inhaling lead, a metal. And for you guys, you're probably unaware, but 40, 50 years ago, lead was everywhere. It was in the paint on walls in schools. It was in the paint on walls in homes. It was on children's cribs, toys, things like that. Until we discovered that lead has many negative side effects. Brain damage, birth defects, cancers. And it was so serious that buildings and schools had to spend millions of dollars to get all the lead out of the building. When you heat up some of these chemicals, it's turning it into lead. Nickel is another metal that is found in a lot of the vapes. All right, that's just a couple of them. There's at least 40 other ones. Many of them you can't even pronounce. And a good rule of thumb to live by is if you can't pronounce it, it's probably not good for you. Now here's the thing. Why is it so popular with you guys? Why is it so popular with young people, with teenagers? Because the companies that are producing them need them to be popular with you guys. They need them to be popular with you guys because they need money in their pockets. The big tobacco companies lost millions and billions of dollars once people began to realize the negative effects of cigarettes. So how do they get around that? They still get the nicotine to you. Because even in these products, when it says there's no nicotine in it, the studies have shown that that's not always accurate. There is nicotine in it. And that's what they want you to get. They want you to get the nicotine. Because these companies know the science. They know the science of the human brain, that the human brain doesn't stop growing and developing until you're 25 years old. So if they can get a young brain that's still growing and developing to have nicotine introduced to it, that brain then becomes addicted to nicotine. And once they have your brain addicted to nicotine, they have a consumer for life. If you get a teenager addicted, you got a consumer for 60, 70 years. They also know that the studies show that teenagers who become addicted to nicotine through vapes are much more likely to then buy other tobacco products. So they designed the vapes for you guys to want them. An adult doesn't need a jewel that's easily concealable, that looks like a USB drive. We don't need to hide them. Teenagers need to hide them. You need to hide them from teachers, from parents, things like that. Also the flavors and the names of the types of vape juices. Those are targeted towards you guys. They're not targeted towards adults. So they pay social media influencers and other people like that to put on their social media accounts them doing these things. You guys then see it, you think it's cool, you see other people doing it, and now they've got the people buying their product. I don't think that any of you guys wake up when you're in high school and say, you know what I want to do, you know what I want to be? I want to be an addict. But when you make these choices to introduce chemicals like nicotine into your brain, that is what you are doing. That's the path you are going down. And again, we're not here telling you don't do it. I want you to be aware of the consequences that are out there if you do make these choices. Right? We're not spending our whole day up here telling you guys stop doing something and just being old people and things like that. You can choose to do it. But if you make that choice, understand the consequences that are associated with it for your health, for your brain, for your life. Because I don't know if any of you have any experience with someone who's an addict, but if you were to talk to them, I don't think they'd get up there and tell you, you know what, it's the best part of my day. The best part of my day is chasing that high. Because what happens is when your brain gets addicted to nicotine, at first that buzz comes quick and it comes easy. But then your brain needs more. And now suddenly you're in class thinking about not what the teacher is instructing, you're thinking about how can I hide my vape and take a hit in class right now? Or I need to go to the bathroom every period to get my fix. And then suddenly that nicotine high, that nicotine fix isn't strong enough for you anymore, and you're talking to your friend, and your friend says, "Here, I got this, try this. Try this hit. This one's got THC in it." And the THC that's involved in this is significantly stronger and more potent than any type of marijuana smoking or usage that has ever been around before. And I know that, states are legalizing marijuana. But here's the effect. The effect is on your brains. It does different things to your growing brain than it does to an adult brain. Permanent, irreparable changes to your brain. And you may be okay with that. And that's the choice that you've got to make. But I said before, I don't think anybody says they want to wake up and be an addict. And these are the choices that you're making. Now, other things that are associated with it, some of the chemicals, right? A chemical that is popular amongst a lot of the different Juul flavors is diacetyl. Diacetyl, I can't get it right. Diacetyl. All right, so diacetyl has some more rapid short-term consequences called popcorn lung. It gets its name from a group of factory workers at a plant that produced and manufactured microwave popcorn. That chemical gives the popcorn that buttery, flavory taste to it. It's safe to eat. It's safe to, ingest that way. But it's not safe to breathe in. And they discovered that these workers, all of a sudden, were coming up with these mysterious lung and breathing issues that were all similar but had never been seen before. And when they investigated it, when they did the research by the doctors and scientists, they discovered that it's this chemical that is causing it, and this chemical is in a lot of the popular vape brands and flavors. This is what it does to your lungs. It restricts the airflow in your lungs. Now, there are some of you that have asthma, which is already a health condition that affects the way your body is able to breathe, the way that your lungs are able to get the oxygen into your blood. And you're choosing to introduce other chemicals, other substances to your body that restrict that ability to breathe. It's like saying, hey, I'm asthmatic, but I'm going to put this plastic bag over my head and see how that works out. It's the same concept you're making. Now, I don't want to sit up here and lie to you guys. E-cigarettes are safer than cigarettes. But safer does not mean safe. It would be safer for me to jump out of a 3-story building than a 5-story building, but I shouldn't jump out of the building to begin with. If you guys make these choices, and you make these choices at school, there's going to be consequences here at school as well. Whether you're a student, an athlete, involved in any type of extracurricular, there's going to be consequences that come along with making those decisions. Like any decision you make, there are consequences that follow.
So when we're talking about consequences, obviously there are school consequences, right? So when we're talking about what the behavioral consequence will be, simple. 2 days in BIC for your first offense. We're not giving warnings, okay? We're not listening to, and if you have one, you're in possession one, you're using one, you're going to get 2 days in BIC for the first offense, okay? So that's a consequence in itself. But let's talk about what being in BIC does. Okay, now you're out of class for 2 days. Many of you are concerned about your grades, concerned about where things are going to go after high school. Okay, has an impact. So now not only are you missing the instruction for that 2 days, you're also now chasing your homework that you got to go and get because you missed it. If you missed a test, you got to make time, you got to make arrangements to go and retake that test. Okay, you've got all of those things that you got to do. Okay, so that's certainly a consequence. Plus then you have to spend 2 days with Mr. Kelly. Consequence enough. Okay? After that, we're going to contact your parent. So now, many of you think parents have no idea that you're using a vape. Now they know, so now they're on to you. We're going to confiscate your vape. Okay, so that's money out of your pocket. Okay, and we're going to keep it. You're not getting it back. Okay? there's a chance that you'll get a fine from the Lockport Police Department, okay, especially those of you that are under 18 or have it on school property. So it's a violation. We can ticket you for that. We're going to put you on restricted pass, okay? How many of you have any idea what restricted pass is? Probably not many of you, because we don't like to do it. But here's how that works, okay? You're sitting in health class, sophomore year, you got to go to the bathroom. The teacher's got to stop what they're doing. They got to call a building security guard, call them up to the classroom. They'll escort you out of the classroom to the bathroom, take you to the bathroom, stand outside the door while you're going to the bathroom, and then walk you back to class and get you back in your seat. That sounds fun. Who wants to be 17 years old and have to be escorted to the bathroom? Okay? First offense, you're on restricted pass. Okay? Now, that's first offense. Now we're going to second offense. Okay? Second offense, you're suspended for 2 days. Out of school. No access to your education. Again, got to make up all the work, do all those things, have the parents contacted, face the consequence of a ticket or something like that. But now you have to have a re-engagement meeting when you come back from your suspension, where you're going to sit down with your dean, your counselor, your social worker, and a parent. And we're going to discuss how much of an impact vaping has on your life. We're going to give your parents resources like Rosecrans to go and get a drug and alcohol assessment to see what kind of problem this really is for you. We're going to talk about some of the health impacts that they have with your parents. We're going to ask them to get you involved in a group, possibly. It all depends on what kind of impact it has on your life. Okay? So we want to make sure that you understand those things. Okay? That's the behavioral consequence from the school standpoint. That's for anything on school property, at a school event, or at a school-sponsored activity. Okay? Basketball game, football game, school dance, during math class, in the bathroom, any of those things. Then we have the other tier of code of conduct. Okay? I've talked to many of the athletes, been a coach here my whole life, been around, seen a lot of different things. You can have a significant impact on your athletic or performance career. First offense for a vape, 25% of your season. Okay? So let's talk about timing. So you've been maybe you're on the football team. Okay? Coming into your last 3 games and you get hit with one of these, season's over. Okay? Talk about POMs. You get hit with a vape 3 weeks before your state competition, and now you're out of the competition. You don't get to perform. Okay? Swimmers, same thing. It's been in all of the sports. Performers. Okay? How about the lead in a school play or a school musical? You're held to the code of conduct. You get hit with a vape 3 weeks before your performance, understudy time, you're out. Okay? Those things are all part of this. Second offense for a code of conduct, you lose an entire season. Okay? So you don't get to participate at all. Hope to God you're not a senior and looking for a college scholarship, because if you don't get to perform for your team, pretty tough for any scouts to see you. So now you've lost all of that. And you got to explain why that is. Third time, your athletic career or performance career at Lockport is done. You lose all eligibility as far as Lockport is concerned. So you need to make sure you understand all of those things. Okay? There is some significant repercussions to that. Again, we have put all this in front of you because we think it's really important. We've talked about a lot of long-term effects, talked about the direct consequences. A couple things we're going to show here now has to do with some of the short-term impact, some of the, bit of freak occurrences, but still possibilities. So just want you to be able to kind of see this, get an idea of what we're looking at.
It was horrible. No father should have to witness that.
This picture was taken moments after 16-year-old Ty Greer says his electronic smoke exploded in his mouth.
It was very loud, and there was a fireball about probably 2 feet by 2 feet, and it lit his gym bag. He was in his mom's Jeep, and it lit the gym bag on fire beside him.
Singed and sooty and cut. And it was blown apart, but it was in the inside, so they sewed it back together. But, yeah.
He suffered first and second-degree burns to his face and fractured several teeth.
Very severe pain. It took about 2 hours. I held him for 2 hours until the morphine kicked in.
For me, the whole situation's given me a different perspective on how I feel about my brother, because so close to losing him.
Ty's father, Perry, says Ty is a talented hockey player who's never smoked tobacco.
It's getting to be a trend with the kids, and I don't think it's any safer than cigarettes, obviously.
According to Ty's father, he purchased the e-cigarette from this Northside store. The owner of the store declined comment to Global News, but did speak with Perry.
I've talked with the owner of the store. He's very, very remorseful. He cried the whole time I talked to him. Told me he hasn't slept for a week.
Now Ty faces a series of expensive dental surgeries as he prepares for a long recovery. Kimberly Tams, Global News.
Kenneth Barbero Jr. says it exploded the second he grabbed his vaporizer.
I hit the vape, the battery flew out. It was almost like a shotgun, kind of. It blew out and the vape went into my mouth.
I mean, this is part of his body, you know, get tongue, and there it is right there.
Today, Kenneth wanted to show us his injuries.
There's a chunk of my tongue missing. You know, I don't have my pearly whites anymore.
Kenneth wants more people to know if you're not careful, a hobby or habit for some people can turn dangerous. He believes the explosion in his device was caused by a short circuit.
Battery is nicked anywhere along here.
At the local vape shop, they showed us what can cause that.
Advanced users, always check your batteries. Every single day I check my batteries to make sure there's no nicks, tears.
But Kenneth's father has a stronger warning.
If your kids are doing it, let them know of the adverse effects of how this could blow up.
Needless to say, after his first-hand experience, Kenneth won't be returning to what was once just a hobby for him.
I really want kids out there to just, you know, look at my story and just really think about it the next time they hit their vape.
You know, that's not an old person like me telling you not to do it. That's a 20-something-year-old saying, listen, I just want the kids out there to know this is what potential. I just want them to think about it the next time they try and do something like that, right? 2 weeks ago in Texas, a 30-year-old was killed when his vape exploded. It sent shrapnel through his head, severed an artery, and he bled out and died. Now, these aren't jewels that are necessarily exploding, but this is what happens. You start with a jewel, and then that's not good enough, and you want something bigger and more powerful, and then you go up to one of these types of things that are more likely to explode. Again, we want you guys to be informed. I don't want you to be like I was, thinking this is safe, it's okay, it's just water vapor, things like that. I want you to make informed decisions, and hopefully decisions that are going to help you stay healthy versus decisions that are going to put you at risk for certain health effects. All right? I didn't mention this time. 60, 70 years ago in our country's history, doctors were recommending to their patients that cigarettes in certain situations can be helpful and healthy for you. My grandfather was a doctor. He told me he would tell patients, it is good, it is okay to smoke cigarettes. It helps lower your stress, and stress is bad. So smoke a cigarette and lower your stress. That was before the science was there to prove that smoking is not good for you. Vaping has not been around long enough for us to really understand the long-term potential effects of this. But we do know that there are signs that show that long-term effects can and will be there if we continue to do these types of things.
All right, guys, we really appreciate your attention and your focus to all of this. At this time, does anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
What was in that baggie?
His tongue.
Part of his tongue. All right, guys, thank you. Have a good afternoon. Have a good weekend.